For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all, or improve Obamacare, or get a chicken. I don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how do we help you get this done? Not how do we put more obstacles in the way? I haven't forgotten about your roof. All of that is important to keeping.
And my pot store.
And what?
And the pot store, the Woods that I own with Woody Harrelson. It's just, the biggest problem we had was the government of California.
Maher has clashed with Adam Schiff before. And let's be real, those encounters were never friendly. Schiff represents that hardline woke politics, while Maher is the guy who enjoys tearing it apart right to your face. So when these two end up on the same stage, you already know what's coming. Awkward pauses, sharp punchlines, and serious tension. Hit subscribe, get comfortable, and let's dive straight into the showdown.
Statement from the administration. The president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama, about Libya.
Maher didn't just question Schiff here. He completely set him up. He reads a statement about Libya, then casually asks, "Is that too vague?" Schiff quickly responds, "Yes, totally vague." But he didn't see the trap coming. Those words weren't from Trump. They were from Obama. And the moment Maher reveals it, boom, you can literally see Schiff freeze as the double standard gets exposed right on the spot. And if you think that moment was rough, the next one gets even worse.
TV productions continue to move out of California due to tax incentives in other states. What might the future look for Los Angeles? Is there a risk of it becoming the next Detroit?
I don't agree with the diagnosis of why the film industry is leaving. They're leaving because they're getting richer incentives in other states and in other countries. And we haven't kept pace with that. So if you want to film in the United Kingdom, you're going to get a tremendous tax break, and our motion picture industry has left the country. If you want to film in New York or Georgia, there are generous tax incentives. If we want to keep the industry here, we're going to have to compete with tax incentives. California has started to do that.
Nope. Hollywood isn't leaving California for no reason. It's running from the cost. And yes, taxes play a huge role in that. Everyone in the industry talks about it. This isn't some hidden secret. Sure, places like Georgia and the UK offer incentives, but the real issue is simple. California is insanely expensive to film in. So expensive that even Europe starts looking like a bargain.
Every year, California loses people because they're being driven away by a high-tax, high-regulation state where public services don't reach the standards that they should. That should be a signal that we shouldn't have one favored industry or another. We should have a favored state. California to be competitive.
Here's what makes it even crazier. Before Maher even fully jumps in, the criticism is already there. California has been losing businesses and residents for years. Why? High taxes, strict rules, and endless regulations. Maher has been hammering that point forever. So why does Schiff keep framing it like it's only about incentives? Because that sounds a lot better than admitting the system is broken.
Your roof, all of that is important to keeping.
And my pot store.
And what?
And the pot store, the Woods that I own with Woody Harrelson. It's just the biggest problem we had was the government of California.
I imagine your producers are saying, "Oh God, I can't believe Schiff brought up his roof."
Yeah, I mean, we love it here. We want to live here. The West Coast has the sunshine and the girls all get so tan. I don't know how I can, but we just gotta make it friendlier.
California needs to become business-friendly again and more livable for everyday people. And that starts at the top with leaders like Gavin Newsom and figures like Adam Schiff. For years, people have watched costs skyrocket while politicians kept saying everything is fine. But clearly, it's not. Housing is out of control. Regular families can't afford to stay. Taxes remain high, rules stay tight, and regulations make it difficult to build, grow, or even operate smoothly. When you combine expensive housing, high taxes, and suffocating bureaucracy, people leave. Companies leave too. If California wants to stay competitive and keep its talent, it needs real change, lower costs, smarter policies, and leaders willing to admit things aren't working.
I don't agree with the UK's proposal to impose a social media curfew for kids. How realistic is it to enforce? One night suggesting I was going to open a place called Bill Maher's Catholic School. Let me finish. Because Catholic schools are popular now, even with people who aren't Catholic. It's the last place you can send your kid to get an old school education. And they just tell the kids, forget about the Jesus stuff. Just, to them, that's okay indoctrination, as opposed to some of the other indoctrination that goes on. And also, the Catholics don't put up with bullshit. They take your phone. You have to learn your P's and Q's and your grammar and all this kind of stuff. And that's what I just don't understand, that parents don't have the whip hand anymore. Not that you should actually use it.
Now let's talk about something else people avoid. The same reform crowd pushed phones and constant internet access into classrooms. They promised it would modernize education. Instead, classrooms turned into distraction zones. Attention spans dropped. Focus disappeared. Real learning took a hit. And now the consequences are obvious. So Maher asks the big question. Should the US follow the UK and restrict kids from social media until a certain age?
TV show that has a teenager in it cannot be mischaracterizing this. And the kids they don't listen to their parents. They turn their back on them. They walk out of the room. Things that would just get me shut down when I was a kid. And I think it starts with the phone.
It sounds like a simple question, but it's actually loaded because it demands accountability. And you can clearly see Schiff getting uncomfortable. Maher doesn't back off. He keeps pushing the same point. Schools are meant for learning, not endless scrolling. Discipline matters. Focus matters. And right now, the system feels completely out of control.
The reason why Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump is because at the end of the day, America is going to want a president who is a decent human being. Who doesn't shit on other people, who has some interest in the American people, some interest in something beyond himself.
Now remember, this all happened before the election. Schiff was confident Democrats were going to win. He sounded certain. But watch what Maher does next. He slowly chips away at that confidence and starts exposing the illusion behind it.
The Atlantic put out an article last year, and it was called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense." Right. And talked about how we separate sports like the WNBA just because it's just socialization. This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Mm-hmm. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating sports by sex makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And if you think it doesn't, you can't leave the country.
That's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Okay. I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No, it's because stuff like that is kooky.
And here's the wild part. Maher was basically right. While many on the left were celebrating early, Maher saw something different. Voters were getting frustrated. And when you ignore that frustration, it comes back to hurt you. A lot of Americans felt drained by political extremes. They felt like common sense was being replaced with culture war chaos. Some voters didn't even love Trump. They just felt the other side looked more extreme and disconnected. Maher's point is simple. When people feel ignored, they respond at the ballot box. Then he pushes Schiff to do something most politicians avoid. Step outside the comfort zone and go on Fox News. Schiff hesitates because it's easier on MSNBC or CNN. Those environments are softer, the questions are easier, and the pushback is minimal. Maher's message is clear. If your ideas are strong, defend them anywhere. That's the real test.
For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it. Yeah. I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all, or improve Obamacare, or get a chicken. I don't know what. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what.
Here's what I was telling my colleagues, and particularly these wonderful candidates we had running in the midterms. Don't talk about Russia. You're not going to persuade people to vote Democrat or Republican based on Russia.
But what about Trump?
Now, I get asked about it because, our investigation for the last 2 years was the only investigation into what Russia did.
Right.
And people ask me about it. But what I urge the candidates and what I urge our nominees to talk about is, how are you going to help American people put bread on the table? How are you going to help them provide for a secure retirement in an environment in which people don't stay in the same job their whole life, in a job with globalization and automation? How do people get health care? How do they keep health care when they go from job to job? How do we help young people afford college? Those are the things we need to be talking about. We are in the midst of two revolutions right now, either one of which would be phenomenally disruptive. The two put together are just producing this cataclysm of xenophobic populism around the world. And it's the revolution in the global economy through globalization and automation, when millions are losing their jobs through no fault of their own. And it's the revolution in communication, which is every bit as significant as the invention of the printing press, but it happened overnight, where lies travel faster than truths, where hate goes viral, and you put those two things together and it is a combustible mix. And addressing those challenges, talking about how in this environment we're going to put people to work, we're going to deal with this yawning gap between rich and poor. We're going to make sure that whether you have one job in the morning and you drive an Uber at night, that you have health care at the end of the day and a retirement at the end of your career. That's, I think, what we need to be talking about.
And I'll let you go, but I see you going on Fox News.
Well, I had some good encouragement from someone very close
Everybody's
to you.
going on Fox News now.
But Schiff does what politicians usually do. He avoids the question. Maher asks something simple. What is your message? Not, Trump is bad, not the usual talking points. What's the actual message? Because that's the real issue. For years, so much of the strategy has been built around one person, Trump. But opposing Trump isn't a full platform. Voters eventually want real answers. What are you offering? What direction are you leading? Why should people trust you? If you can't answer that clearly, people start tuning out.
Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who before the 24 election said things like, if the party didn't shift to the center, we will get fucking torn apart. And we need to never use the word socialist or socialism ever again. At least the party has a clear choice here, very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist.
Then Maher shifts to another growing trend inside the party, socialism, socialist language, socialist branding. He's not bringing it up randomly. Why would Democrats lean into something that clearly scares moderates? This isn't just ideology, it's strategy. History shows the word socialism triggers backlash. Independents hear it and pull back. Swing voters hear it and get nervous. Maher isn't saying every idea is bad. He's saying think about the real-world impact. So the question becomes simple. If the label is risky, why are leaders still embracing it?
so how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won in districts Trump also won, all moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office.
By the end, Maher's message lands like a hammer. Not a joke, not a cheap shot, a warning. He believes Democrats, especially figures like Schiff, too often choose comfort over clarity. They rely on safe talking points and hope the audience fills in the gaps. But Maher keeps pressing the same pressure point. When the narrative is clean but reality is messy, people notice. So he starts pulling at everything: contradictions, double standards, strategies that sound good in studios but fall apart in real life. From the Obama versus Trump moment, where the double standard becomes obvious, to California, where taxes, regulations, and cost of living turn policy into real pain, to kids glued to screens, shaped more by algorithms than real life, to a party leaning into labels that scare voters before the conversation even starts. And every time the discussion tries to escape, Maher pulls it right back. Because in the end, the issue isn't values. It's how those values are being sold, with denial, polished language, rehearsed answers, and media spaces that applaud instead of challenge. Maher keeps repeating one idea: stop hiding in safe spaces. Stop avoiding tough questions. Stop assuming voters will just go along, because voters are tired of unclear messaging, tired of political games, tired of hearing "trust us" when results don't match promises, and especially tired of leaders dodging simple questions with complicated answers. You don't have to agree with Maher to understand the warning. Ignore it, and you lose the middle. Face it, and you might actually win the argument that matters. And that's where we wrap it up. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.